to the Bucket List Show. I'm Tammy Crandall with Journey Venture Travel and Tours and Barron Real Estate, and I'm here with my co-host.
I'm Rebecca Denise with Barron Real Estate, but also with Superior Storage.
Okay. We are, again, the Bucket List Show, and we are here to serve you so you can fill your bucket to live your most abundant life. And what that means for each and every one of you can be so different, as well as for us. You know, it could be, you want a paddleboard. We always bring that up. We still haven't done that yet. So we want a paddleboard for the first time. Maybe,
Hawaii.
That's right, yeah. But she keeps bringing up Hawaii. She hasn't done that yet. So we want to make sure that you look at things like that. It could be buying a home for yourself for the first time, or making that transition down from a larger home to a smaller one.
It could be joining a book club.
That's right. It could be writing a book. You know, I mean, who knows? The list of bucket list things are endless, but hopefully we can bring you great content that gets you thinking from time to time, things that we can provide to help you fill that bucket. Right. So today we are going to talk about a hot topic and what I consider to be a hot market, and that's Florida, and that is real estate. Real estate is still a hot market here in Florida. But the real question is, should you buy? Should you sell? Should I rent instead of buying? We're going to cover what's been happening in the market somewhat, and what the advantages and disadvantages are.
Absolutely.
So Rebecca, I know she's been scribbling away doing her homework. So tell us what's been going on in the market today with some of the home sales in our area.
So I think the market is still going well. So if you look at single-family homes, from someone selling, the average number of days to sell is 69 days.
Right.
So for the buyers, that means you're not having multiple bids, you're not fighting for the bids, and you're not driving it up because it's 69 days. So before, when they were selling houses in 3 or 4 days, people were driving that up because of competition and bids. So that gives you a little bit of flexible. Now condos on the other side, because of the new state law, now it's 121 days. And what I mean by the new state laws is when the condo collapsed down in Lauderdale in Florida, 28 people passed away. So what the state did is they decided that they need to really look at the bylaws of the condo and make sure structurally they have the reserves, everything is being prepared, and they have all health and safety factors. So because of that, some people are not necessarily looking at the big high rises, but there are still sales. It's just taking a little bit longer. So possibly they're doing their homework, they're looking at the bylaws. I'm sure there's been some assessments. Some condo complexes didn't have a reserve of 10%, and that's the biggest factor. Especially when it comes to lending, you need 10%. But you also need it so as new buyers come in, you keep the assessments relative to the improvements.
Yes, so you don't end up with an assessment surprise, which has happened, and fortunately not too many areas, but there have been some areas where the assessment, they make a decision all of a sudden, they're just going to load everybody up and change the way they're doing it, and so they boost up that assessment, so that can happen periodically.
Right, and that's where you get a realtor, like Tammy and myself, you want to drill down. I know Tammy and I just recently looked at 3 condos for myself possibly. So you just need to know to look at the budget, you need to understand what you're doing, and that's where we can come in. But there's still viable options on both sides of the coin if you buy or sell.
Right.
So it's just a matter of what people are looking at.
Well, and we've talked about this multiple times in that, everybody is very quick to, when they think of buying a home, they're very quick to just go right at that single family home. And that probably works well for someone who is, either they're getting into their first home, it might be a secondary home for them, they've got a young family, so they want to get set within a specific area with schools and things of that nature. But, sometimes you get to a point where now that you've outgrown the home, so, looking at a townhome or a condo might be a viable option as you start to think about downsizing too.
Like for me, it's an easier way of living, so I have to worry about inside the walls. So I don't have to worry about the roof or the driveway or doing the lawn maintenance or the pests. It's all done for me. So, and again, it goes back to what stage of life you're in, what you're looking for, but that's a great option. And you have condos in HOA, so you still get the pool and all the resort style.
Absolutely.
It's just a matter of what you're looking for. And I do think it's a great option, if someone's looking to buy on that. If you compare the other side of the coin, You know, rents are probably up like 4.2%.
Sure.
And there could be reasons that people want to rent. Maybe they're here for 1 year. Maybe they're going to decide where that permanent home looks like. So there could be many reasons, and especially if someone's relocating for the first time, you may not know the area, so you're going to get yourself in a rent.
And just from personal experience, you know, the very first home that my husband and I bought was a townhome. And part of the reason we did that, we were coming out of a rental. We really were not in a position financially to afford a single family home at that point. So taking that stepping stone of moving into what was the next step, so a townhome or a condominium can be a great viable option. And I'll just give you some examples. I just want to talk about that. And you know, here in Port St. Lucie, you know, the median sale price, and everything we're discussing at this point is for September of 2024. You know, so regardless of when you see this, you'll know that's where those numbers are from. But a median sale price, believe it or not, still in the 34953 area code, is still in that $410,000 range. And that's median. I would say just from experience in pricing and showing, I would say a lot of these homes are probably closer to 450, 500.
Wow.
But the median sale price for a townhome or a condo, in comparison to that, in those same 34953 area codes, is at 267.6.
Yeah, so that gives people options.
That's right. It's a huge jump or a huge difference.
Right.
And then one of the things that we chose to do, which I like to share, is when we decided to buy a single family home, we kept the townhome and we utilized it as investment property for a rental. And so what we had was something that could provide us with some passive income, and at the same time we were able to buy the single family home that we wanted to graduate to.
You know, and it makes sense. So before, when I said Tammy and I looked at a couple of condos for myself, we did kind of like a homework project. We started at the lowest condo available, and we did it in Fort Pierce, and it was for $88,000. And it would be a perfect Airbnb for someone. It's like an efficiency, single floor, one level. It's literally, you know, 5-minute walk to the jetty in Fort Pierce in Florida, which is beautiful. Then we looked at a couple, two that was in an HOA. They were relative, 119. Perfect starter homes, perfect retirement homes. So
and they weren't all one bedrooms.
Right, the
Some
last
of them were
ones were
twos.
two. But when you talk about the prices, there's pockets where we could find what you need in the budget. So. And we could help with that.
And in areas that are relatively safe.
Yeah,
You know, even just because they're in Fort Pierce doesn't mean that they're not in a safe area.
The two of them were in High Meadow, which is a great HOA. The other one, like I said, was right near the jetty. But the quality of life, you know, you want to get up, get your cup of coffee, and you're going to walk the beach, and that's it.
Yeah.
You know, so it depends what stage you're in.
And I just wanted to draw some attention to some other areas in Port St. Lucie, if you don't mind.
Yep.
You know, just because we're looking at those median prices, the 34983 area code in Port St. Lucie for September 24, that median price is actually down a little bit from previous numbers a year ago. So they're at 366.5.
Okay.
Actually, townhouses and condos are a little higher. So isn't that interesting,
that's
right?
fun, yeah.
You know, and it has a lot to do with what's being built right now, you know, and how many people are satisfying those things.
Right.
So that's just another.
And I think, you know, when you look at Port St. Lucie, you know, for the last couple of years I was on the housing committee. You know, they are looking to do multifamilies. They are looking to do condos because we do have a housing issue, and you know, it's much easier to build a couple more condos or apartment style or townhouses than the single family new construction, which we still have too. So I think in this whole Treasure Coast area, you know, this part of Florida, there's a lot of options.
There are a lot of options for families, for retirees, you know, so we're looking at that. Funny thing was I came across 34984.
Okay.
And 34984 is actually up 9.9%.
Wow.
From last year at the same time. $445,000 is the median price for a single family home.
Wow.
But surprisingly, there's no median sale price for townhouses and condos. Now, isn't that a mystery, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's a reason for that, because in that specific area, there are no townhomes or condos that would be there. So that's going to be there. And then also, you know, we've got a hot area that's been here for a long time, really was kind of the root of Port St. Lucie, which is in the 34986 area. $422,820 is the median, up 10% from last year. But the townhomes and condos median sale price is about $200,000, which is a drop of 40% from last year.
Wow,
So
that is amazing.
So, I mean,
I'll have
that's
to
a
go
couple
look those.
$100,000 lower
Yeah,
than
no,
the standard. So
That is
I just thought
crazy.
interesting statistics
So
to share.
No, that is interesting. So the one thing I was looking just nationally, just to
Of
jump
course.
back there, the national sales price is around 404. And then if you go from what Tammy just gave our area, Tampa, that area is around 420. So in the last 3 years, they had an appreciation of around 100,000. In our area, we were over 100,000 with appreciation in the last
Right.
couple of years. So the people that have invested, they're still in a positive upward, area. So we're not worried about depreciation or any of those
Absolutely.
factors. We're still in a strong market here.
Well, and I think that's pretty tantamount for the state of Florida in general. We have a lot of metro areas. If you look at Palm Beach County, Miami, Jacksonville, Orlando, Tampa could almost really qualify for that. So, but within those areas, people like to be in close proximity, but maybe not like right on top of
Right, you
them.
can be on the outskirts.
That's right.
you know.
So there are a lot of people, as much as we are building a lot here in St. Lucie County, there's a lot of building going on the West Coast too.
Oh, absolutely. So my daughter just bought a brand new condo by one of the local builders, and there's so many incentives out there because they obviously want to move the house and they want to get their sales done too. But I think when people talk about buying or selling, then they come up with these fears.
Right.
So the first one is, are the rates really high? Well, rates have moved, but relative, we're probably at like right around a 6%. But then there's options again, and the realtor could help you, buy down, do those things. The other thing is, should they wait for some sort of reprieve, after the election? Well, that doesn't really make sense. The Fed wants to keep the rates down, so they're probably going to push it down a little bit more because that helps the borrowing power for everybody. And the housing market will drive the country.
Well, and it always has. It always has. So, one thing that I know is a concern for most is, say they're in an existing home, and now they're like, well, how am I going to buy a home if I'm in a home and I need the money from my home to buy a home?
Right.
A lot of people don't realize that there are bridge loans available out there where they can take those monies in advance of your sale and use that money to either put money down or pay for the home. It becomes part of a contingency at that point.
Yeah, and especially it is hard to buy and sell. That timing is important. But for the seller, there's still great options to sell and have it be relative. But if you do need it, you have the bridge loan, and there is a lot of incentives. And then if you're buying a new construction, the builder will give you a little bit more time.
Sure.
And then the other point on buying and selling is, we still have the assumable options for people who are buying and selling.
That's right. A lot of people don't even think about that.
Most realtors don't. I think it's, a lost leader. I did a lot of assumables as a banker. So if we just talk about Fort Pierce, 10% of the properties for sale in Fort Pierce could be assumable. And what I mean by that, if the current owner has an FHA loan, VA loan, rural housing, you could go in and assume their mortgage. So for example, there's a home for sale in Port St. Lucie, 2,300 square feet, single family, 4.3. The current rate is 2.875. So if you bought that house and you have to qualify, that's your rate for the life of the loan. So that's like a win-win.
Yeah.
So the idea is that, you want your realtor to have all these tools in their toolbox to say, this is how we can make it happen.
Well, and that's that little sweet secret that people just don't know about. Is that
absolutely.
there are options that are considered no box options. We like to use that term, no
I know, it's
boxes
true.
here. That's our hashtag, right? No boxes.
Yeah, and it's true.
And so you don't want to restrict yourself too. So even if you're a veteran, for example, and I think we discussed this on the way here, even if you're a veteran and you may qualify for a veteran's loan or a VA loan, doesn't mean you have to take a VA loan.
No.
There may be something else that could be a better viable option, such as an assumable for you.
And I think, when you pull together your team and it's your realtor, your banker, and as a realtor, that's what we would drive. But you want to have all your buckets in a row, hence the bucket list.
That's right.
But all these things are important because most people, if you look back 3 years ago, a realtor wasn't listening. Oh, this house is VA. You could do FHA. You could do rural housing. They didn't want that. Does it take a little bit longer? Maybe a few days. No big deal. I've done all of those. But if you're going to go with the realtor and they're going to say, oh, we'll go to ABC and mortgage and their rate's 6%, and you come to Tammy and I, we're like, no, we give you 2.875 because you're going to assume this mortgage. And if you assume a VA loan, you don't have to be a veteran.
Oh,
but if you purchase a VA loan the first time, then you do have to be a veteran.
Gotcha.
And like rural housing, 100% financing. If you're buying in Okeechobee or out west, some of those properties will be rural housing, 100%.
That's right.
So there's all these little quirky things between renting and buying, and rents are relative.
Well,
They
and
really
they are
are,
to
in
the
this
area
area.
you're trying to stay
Yeah.
in,
They're still relative.
and we're going to talk a little bit more about some of those things. So we're going to take a short break,
Okay,
and then we will be right back.
Perfect.
Journa Venture Travel and Tours, where it's about your journey, not just the destination. Picture a world full of amazing places yet to be discovered. Where do you begin? Whether your bucket list includes cruising in the Caribbean, exploring vast nature in Alaska, or experiencing exotic worldwide places, we're here to help you fill your bucket to live your most abundant life. Your journey begins from the moment you let go and let us handle the details for you. So call us today. Journa Venture Travel and Tours, 772-882-3165.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Bucket List Show. Again, my name is Rebecca Denise from Barron Real Estate and Superior Storage. I'm with my co-host, Tammy, and she's also with Barron Real Estate and also Journa Venture Travel. And the reason we created this show is, we wanted to find a way to serve people so they live their most abundant life. And we don't mean monetary. We all walk around with a to-do list for work, for the kids, for the house, but we forget to do our personal dreams and goals. And it could be something as simple as writing a book or joining the book club or, doing that addition on your house or finding more quiet time. Whatever that is on your bucket list, it'd be climbing a mountain or, something. We all have different. My bucket list, if you've been watching the show, it's Hawaii. But, I do want to paddleboard and simple things too. And that's why we joined the show. We figured it was a nice way to give good content.
Way, yes, and talk to people.
And if you want to be on the show, please reach out. We've had authors, we've had bankers, travel. I can't even remember, but we have any topic. There's no topic. We're not political, but we want to hear people's story. And that's a way that you could market yourself when we think true, being authentic, and integrity is the key to drive business, whatever you're driving business
Truly.
to. And then we want you to think about yourself too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it really is about you. That's part of the reason that we started this. Sometimes people are continually pitching.
Yeah.
That's not really what we're all about. It's really about providing great information, great topics. Whether we have a guest or don't have a guest on the
Right.
show is irrelevant. We can bring great content
Absolutely.
that hopefully provides value to you so you can improve the life that you have.
Right.
So let's do that. One of the things that we were talking about when we cut to commercial was, the values that are out there and how it's a good market. Things could be assumable versus getting a full-out mortgage.
Correct.
But we didn't talk a whole lot about renting, right, versus buying. So let's talk a little bit about
Okay.
that.
So even here, the Treasure Coast, Florida, doesn't matter if you're east side, west side, there is a lot of new construction still. And there is older inventory, inventory if you're going to buy, but there's renovation loans. But for rentals, we are seeing a lot of new construction for rental apartments, condos, things of that nature. And the benefit that what you're seeing is with the new construction is you're renting, but it's still a resort-style community.
It is, and a lot more
And
of those are popping up
Yeah,
in
it's-
different areas, like Tradition,
Yep,
or
Tradition.
even areas in Martin
There's,
County.
you could see it down, now I forgot, Head and Store Jensen Beach or Stewart.
Oh, sure.
I've been over to Tampa, and they're building beautiful resort-style apartments. Tammy and I went to
Coquina Cove.
the
that's
other
where we
night,
were at.
and beautiful resort. They had a barbecue, but you could live there, right around $1,800. But again, it's a beautiful site. You have all the amenities: the dog parks, the pools, the clubhouse, the paddleball, the security. And for someone who just wants to live and do what they want to do and not worry about anything, just put your head in your hat.
It's a great
and
way
you're
to do
good.
that. It's a
And
great way to do that.
It is. And so there is options definitely to rent and the ones over in Tradition, they're like little cottages.
Oh,
you
they
know,
are.
They're so cute. And you know, Tradition is another area that's full walkable scale. If you did that, that's
Absolutely.
probably over 100%.
Yeah, we see a number of people too in that area that might be on their golf carts.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it doesn't necessarily mean that they live in a neighborhood with a golf course
Yeah.
either.
Listen, you could just live there and never leave.
That's
You have
right.
the hospital, all the hair salons, medical, food, 2 grocery stores, beautiful lake. It is a great place to live in that area. But all of the areas in Florida, you know, a lot of them are walkable and they're great.
And you can do that whether you're planning to rent or buy.
Right.
There's a lot of new construction. So you can sign contracts in advance to rent a place if you'd rather rent. You're not sure. Maybe
Correct.
you're new to the area and you're trying to figure out, you know, what is it that you
Yeah.
want to do, or
Yeah,
you've got something that's
absolutely.
in the process of building. So
Yeah,
we
you
could do
just-
both of those.
You want to figure out the pocket, especially if you have children, you want to look at the school systems. The other option that we didn't talk about and something that Tammy and I could help with is rent to buy. So
Absolutely.
maybe, you know, you're just not in the position to buy for whatever reason. So, you know, maybe you're building up your credit or you're not at your job for 2 years. So maybe there's some bank requirements that this is a route for you. So people could rent and then offer to buy. So what happens just very quickly, you know, you decide that you're going to rent something for $2,000 a month, but maybe 200 of that rent goes towards your down payment for whatever number of months you agree on. And it's a negotiation where, you know, the realtor's going to work with the landlord or the owner and try to help that for you. And those are things that you certainly could do on your own, but I would not recommend it. You know, work with the realtor. You know, it makes sense. It's too of an expensive transaction not to have someone who's looking out for you.
And that's regardless of whether it's a rental or something you
Absolutely.
intend to purchase. And, you know, and that's something to bring up as well. There are costs involved on both sides.
Yes.
You know, so whether you intend to purchase a home or you intend to, you know, rent for a while,
Yeah.
you know, most rentals are requiring first, last, and security of an equal measure. So if your rent is $2,200 a month,
Yeah.
you've
That's
got to
all
come up with $6,600 to even get moved in, okay? And there are still some responsibilities if you happen to be renting a single-family home.
Correct.
You may actually be responsible to take care of the yard. You
Yeah,
know,
no, I
so those are things you have to weigh as
Right.
well as about what you're renting or what you're buying, knowing that regardless of which you choose to do, you're going to have some seed money in the game to do it. You can't just have the first month's rent and move in somewhere, typically.
And that's why you want to work with a professional. You know, my other life, I was a banker. And one of the things I used to say to my customer is, you know, I would literally say, okay, we're going to make a bucket of what you can do. You know, so we're going to put, you know, your 4 buckets here, and these are your options. And obviously it's so simple, and I know that's silly, but people need to visually see, well, my first option is I could buy, this is how much it's going to cost me. If I rent, you know, $6,600 to rent down, that's an awful lot of money. That may not work. You may not have that, so then we need to find an option for that. But the idea is that we want to map it out
Absolutely.
for anybody. It's, you know, even if you look at Tammy, she does travel, you need to map out that travel plan.
That's
But
true.
if you're going to rent or buy, if you get nothing out of this today, you need to find someone that's going to look after you
Absolutely.
and give you all the information and not rush you.
That doesn't rush you and has great partners
Correct.
that work in the same vein.
Absolutely.
You know, so
Right.
I think that's superbly important as well.
Yes.
You know, I know the rental market is a challenge. I've got young adults in my household. So we jokingly refer to my home as the village.
Yeah,
you
no,
know?
I mean, I have that too.
And but it's becoming more and more common because the rents are getting higher. So the reality is, you know, if they put a plan together and they make a decision that they prefer to buy at some point, that might be a better plan even
Right. No,
for those who are getting
absolutely.
out.
And I think you do see more blended families. You know, I don't think, you know, depending on your cultural, I mean, I know I live with, you know, my son and his fiance and his daughter. I like the arrangement, it works. I have no desire to mow a lawn. I don't want to worry about pest control. And that's something that he's okay with. you know, they're young, you know,
Mm-hmm.
things of that nature. So, but I do think the key is, you know, to get someone to help you and understand where you're at. You know, and now is a good time. We're nearing the last quarter.
That we
Who
are.
knows what's going to happen politically? But any way you slice it, homes are still going to be bought and sold. That's still going to
Absolutely.
drive the market from California to here. And in this area and many other areas, you know, they're still growing. There's still a shortage of houses, but there's also jobs and things
Right,
of that nature.
right.
So,
Well, and this also brings up a point that we haven't mentioned, and how important it is, and I know we've kind of just touched it on the surface, but that you're using a great buyer's agent.
right.
And, you know, if you're not familiar, you know, most recently there was legislation that was passed that when you go to purchase a home, if you're going to be shown anything that's on the MLS, and most homes are listed
Right.
on the MLS, so if you want to have the greatest pool of homes to choose from,
Correct.
you got to make sure that you're working with somebody who has access to the MLS. The caveat is you've got to sign a buyer's
Agreement.
a buyer's agreement, an exclusive buyer's agreement, and that's a law. That's not anything that we
Right.
can avoid. So, you know, I've worked with buyers. I know,
Yes.
you know, that Rebecca has worked with buyers, and in order for us to do that, before we can even show you a property, you know, we have to have a buyer's agreement signed.
Right.
Honestly, that protects you, that protects us,
Yeah.
and it makes very clear what's going to happen and how we address that for you, and all the work and the things that we're going to be doing for you as a buyer's agent.
And I think, you know, for Florida, it became a new state law, you know, National Organization of Realtors did it. I was from Connecticut, so if any of my agents, when I had my broker agreement, you automatically would sign a buyer's agreement. You
Sure.
also had to have your pre-approval. And the idea behind both of these things is the realtor, you know, is going to invest the time for you. They want to make sure you're taken care of, so you mutually agree that you're going to work together to buy something. And then the idea that you need the pre-approval is, you know, you don't want to look at a house for $5 million when you could afford $200,000, or vice versa.
Well, and beyond that, it makes it much more advantageous for you as a buyer. If you are ready, when you walk in and you see that home that just absolutely wows you
Yep.
for what you're looking for,
Correct.
if you haven't gone through all those steps and you're working with the realtor, shame on them,
Right.
because they shouldn't have led
Yeah.
you down that path.
Yeah,
You know, as a realtor, I would never take a client out to see properties like that.
Yeah,
You
you're
know,
not- you're
unless
not doing
unless we
them
knew.
justice.
Well, because if they really see something they fall in
Right.
love with, they don't have the opportunity to make an offer. I mean, they can make an offer, but I can almost guarantee you that the seller's going to say, well, are they pre-approved? Well, no, I don't have a pre-approval. Well, you know, then
They
I'm
won't
not looking at
entertain
it. Yeah, because
know.
there's so many people who are more prepared
You know, today,
to do that.
if we're, you know, 70 days average, there's enough time. But definitely what Tammy says, I mean, you really do have the negotiation power when you're ready. If we look back at 2020, there were multiple bids, people were losing their bids. Maybe you were losing your bid because you didn't have a strong realtor who understand the
Right.
market, and you didn't have everything ready. The other thing, you know, as a good realtor, besides your pre-approval and your buyer's market, your realtor should be telling the story of you.
Absolutely.
People, they're local, they work at the hospital, one works at Publix, they're strong, they're viable. We want to, you know, tell their little quick story. In banking, you know, we would write a credit profile on someone. Here, we just want to say, these are two new people, they came here from Cincinnati and they're teachers.
Yes.
You know, we want to sell part of the negotiation so you get your home that you wanted.
Absolutely.
And then
Absolutely.
working with the bank for the pre-approval and the
Right, so we do a
title
lot of, we
company.
work with the title company.
Yeah.
So, you know, in working with the title companies that we work with, we know that they're strong, we know what their process is like, how long it's going to take for them, what they have to have in hand to do the work for you that's so important for you.
Right.
Same thing with, you know, mortgage options. If you need a mortgage
Yep.
to make a purchase, you know, we've got partners that we work with that can help us with that as well. Having a good, strong partner base with the realtor that you're working with, that way you're not going crazy trying to
Yeah,
find the
and
right
it's-
person. That doesn't mean you can't use your own person if you've got somebody that you
Correct.
normally work with. You know, I wouldn't discourage that at all. But we're also here as a buyer's agent for realtors to be able to provide and help you find the right people to do business
Right.
with.
We've already vetted them out. We know that they're insured.
Right.
You know, we see the quality of the work. But as Tammy said, even if you use your own partners, that's fine. Part of the role of the realtor, at least the way we work, is we're going to drive the bus. We're going to pull that all together. We're going to make sure that you meet your mortgage contingencies and we follow the contract dates and things of those nature. So we do that behind the scenes, so it's seamless for our customers, because it is a stressful process. It's a lot of money, but we're going to put some fun in it.
Yeah, we are. So now, and we could sit and talk about this stuff all day. We love this stuff. We're both ex-bankers, so we love talking about the lending side of it and the borrowing side of it. But as a wrap up, you know, just a reminder, we are still in a market where it's great to sell. We are still in a market where it's a great market to buy.
Absolutely.
And it's a tougher market to rent in, to be honest with you. So it could be more advantageous for you to buy versus rent if you are in a position to do so.
Right.
So,
but either way, you know, meet with one of us, both of us,
Yes.
so we can map it out. So many people think, oh, I can't buy because I don't have a down payment. There's products. Or I'm having problems renting because they want $6,600. Maybe, you know, that could be a trigger to buy.
That's
You
true.
know, maybe the seller credit. So we got to play with the numbers and the products.
Yeah, and make sure it makes sense for each specific individual. You know, no two people have the same needs.
Yeah, it's a different story for everybody.
So, like I said, we could sit here and talk
know,
about this
sorry.
stuff all day.
I opened it
But
back up.
no, that's all right. But so if you would like to reach out to us, whether you want to be a part of our show, whether you would like some information on how to sell or buy or rent, that's what Rebecca and I are here for. I'm Tammy Crandall, again with Journey Adventure Travel and Tours and Barron Real Estate. I can be reached directly at 772-579-9536. And Rebecca?
And I am Rebecca Denise from Barron Real Estate as well as Superior Storage. My number is 203-482-7297. Be kind, everybody.
Thank you.